Hello everyone, good evening. You're welcome to our discussion class today. I can see Mr. Mohammed on the call. You're welcome, Mr. Mohammed. Okay. So today we're going to be treating a very interesting course, biostatistics, that everyone usually find interesting and maybe a kind of um challenging, yes, because of so many calculations and a lot of things around it. But we're going to be looking at it and hopefully we're going, by God's grace, we're going to be simplifying all these courses, okay? You can just get into join our discussion class. Maybe you're joining from YouTube, you're watching this video later on, and you getting to know for the first time. My name is Jane Nnenna Ezikeanyi. I'm a master student of public health in National Open University. And what we do here, we just help to simplify our course materials and making learning accessible for everyone. So I just help students understand our courses, pass exams, and stay motivated. You know, the end goal is just to pass exams and moreover learn um everything that we need to learn from this master's program. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we're going to get started immediately because I don't want us to spend up to an hour for this discussion class today. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the biostatistics and just going to be an introductory lesson. I'll be covering the unit one of the course material, and the topic is statistical terms and data collection methods. So just a kind of introduction to statistics we are going to be doing today. Please, at any point you could not hear me, please let me know. Just draw my attention. You know, network can actually fluctuates and all of that. But if you can't hear me, please just draw my attention to that, okay? So let's dive in immediately to this class. So the first thing, okay, I need to present. Yeah, okay, I think this is better. I have a data view now. Okay, so let's look at what is statistics. Like what we're doing is generally going to be um around these statistics. Okay, so what is statistics? It's the science of collecting, classifying, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting data. So I developed an acronym for it, which is C square PAI. Okay, you have to collect data. It's a step-by-step process when it comes to statistics because it involves data. You cannot do it. You cannot talk about statistics without data. Data is the life of statistics. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is collection of data. That's the first step. You have to collect this data, and when you collect this data, you have to classify this data. We're going to be looking at different types and different classification of data, the subsequent of this class. And also after classifying this data, you have to present it in a form that is readable, in a form that can be analyzed. So that when you analyze the data, you'll be able to interpret it. And what is our end goal of all these statistics? It just to allow us to draw a reasonable and accurate inferences and decisions, all right, from the collected information and data. So it helps us, statistics actually, the major aim, the major goal of statistics is to help us to make a sound decisions in the presence of uncertainty, and also to help us when we come to in health related field. It helps us to make a lot of reasonable inferences when it comes to epidemiology and public health related matter. All right. So that is it about statistics. And I told you it involves steps in collection, classifying data, presenting data, analyzing data, and then interpreting data. Okay. So these are the steps involved in statistical methods. Then we have biostatistics. So statistics is the general term. Okay, then we have biostatistics, which is our concern. So it's a branch of biological science, just like combining biology and statistics. Okay, so it's a branch of biological science that deals with the study and method of collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data. So it can also be called biological statistics or biometry, just what we are doing here, especially in public health. They also have another subdivision, which is medical statistics. So it's a sub-discipline of biostatistics. Biostatistics is just like an umbrella that covers everything that is under biology, okay? But when it comes to medical statistics, is specifically focused on medicine and the health sciences. Now we are talking of public health, we're talking of forensic medicine, we're talking of clinical research, we're talking of epidemiology. So that's the major. So medical statistics is under biostatistics. So I hope you understand. It's just like an introductory, the definitions and everything when it comes to statistics. And I hope you understand the differences. All right. So let's look at the basic statistical terms. When it comes to statistics, there are a lot of terms that are being used in like in classifying things or in identification of a lot of things, okay, when it comes to statistics. And one of it is population. Population is we're going to be looking at the population and different type of population that is being involved in statistics. So what is population? Population is the entire collection or set of individuals or objects whose properties are to be analyzed. So it's just like the entire or our major focus group or our major that the one like the set of individuals or set of things that we want to study on. That is our population. It can be humans, it can be objects, it can be anything. All right. And one of the key characteristics of population when it comes to statistics, it must be clearly defined and specific. Yes. So when it is defined and specific, it will help you in maybe in designing your research and in also making inferences. Okay. So for example, we have all undergraduates in Nigeria. All undergraduates in Nigeria. Maybe we are taking a study. I'm going to be giving this example when we are going to be discussing the different types of population or different population that can be used in statistical terms. Okay. So um we have definitely two types of population. We have the finite and the infinite population. Finite population are those population that that are countable, while the infinite ones are those ones that are uncountable, all right? Like for example, of finite, we have like number of students or students studying public health in national university. They are finite population because they are countable and they can actually be counted. Then infinite was like grains of sand, counting of like hairs on someone's head, like something that is uncountable. Okay, so now let's look at the different population we have, different types of population. So number one, we have what we call target population. First of all, before we look at this, I want us to imagine that we want to have a study, want to carry out a study the eating habits of Nigerian undergraduates. So from this, our study now, that's where we're going to be classifying this target population. So it will help us to drive at what we are actually looking at and help us to easily understand each type of population. So when it comes to the target population, please, at any point if you not hear me, just let me know. Okay, I think my network is stable now. Okay, so we have what we call the target population. What is the target population? It's just like a dream group. Okay, they are the people or they are the group of individuals or objects that we intend to make estimates or inferences or decision on. So that they are the larger groups that want to make generalization from our study. Okay, so from this our study that we develop here on the right hand side of this slide, you could see that we are studying the eating habits of Nigerian undergraduates. So our target population for this study is now all Nigerian undergraduates that we want to generalize to. Okay, so it can be all undergraduates in Nigeria or each of the 36 states of Nigeria. Okay, so they are our target population because we want to know their eating habits. We want to know how they actually eat. Do they eat normal? Do they eat very well? So they are our target population. Okay, so we are not generalizing into every individual in Nigeria from maybe young, old, but we want to just undergraduate Nigeria. So can you see that it is defined, it is specific? Because we're talking of population. And we say that one of the key characteristics is that population are clearly defined and they are specific. Okay. And the next type of population we're going to be looking at is a source population. Source population is, I call them the accessible group. Accessible group. So they are the population from which we can actually draw our study participants. They can be cases, they can be controls, they can be samples. For example, you as a student, you want to carry out this research of the eating habits of Nigerian undergraduates. Normally, you can't assess all the Nigerian undergraduates because it's going to be very, very a robust study, which is not really advisable. When it comes to public health and statistics and research, there's what we call um like a kind of randomly selecting your samples or something. So those ones that you are accessible to, maybe you are in Lagos, you are accessible to all the undergraduates in Lagos. That means they are your source population. They are the ones you are accessible to. They are the ones that you can collect your sample. They are the ones you can give questionnaire to answer for you so you know their eating habits. Do you understand what I'm talking about? What I'm talking about, right? So they are your source population. They are the ones that you are accessible to. Okay. Then we have the actual population. That's the real life group. Call them the real life group. Please note all these words I call them because it will actually help you in maybe when they ask this question. And funny enough, I'm going to be someone is disturbing us on this chat. Please, Gloria, please can you mute? Um, okay. So I'm going to show you an exam past question where they ask question on this population. It's a 2024 past question they ask on this
Okay.
population, okay? So I'm going to be showing you what the questions actually look like. So actual population is the real life group. They are the group to which our estimates or inferences really apply in practice. So they are sometimes narrower than your target population. Example, like I said, I mentioned Lagos undergraduate before, but here, Abuja undergraduate only, since that's who you are truly studying. Okay, so they are the ones that your inferences or your decision actually apply in real life. Okay, because they're the one that you studied. let's I don't want it to actually maybe have challenged differentiating between target population and your actual population. Your target population are those ones that they are large group that just want to make conclusion. All the undergraduate um in Nigeria, you want to know their eating habits. But your actual population are those ones that you are actually that's the real life group that you actually have access to. Maybe those undergraduates in Lagos, if you're in Lagos and you're carrying out your study in Lagos universities to know that's the undergraduates, right? Okay, so they are the actual population, the real life group to which your estimate or your inferences really apply in practice. So we also have other type of population. No, my slide is not moving. Okay. So we also have study population. They are the final sample sets. So your study population are those ones that you actually give out your questionnaire or you actually carry out your experiment on. They should not fluctuate. Okay, your study population, they are the specific participants who are enrolled in your study, and then they provide data on. Okay, so they can be the 200 students you finally survey, they can be the 100 students or the 500 students, as the case may be. Like I said, when you are carrying out a research, you will actually have your target population you are talking about. Let's say you want to carry out a research on diabetes. You know that okay, if you want to your target population is on every person that has diabetes, okay? But in real life, that these people that you actually have access to, okay, that these people that you actually select, okay, to give, maybe to carry out this experiment when it's maybe it's a laboratory or maybe it's a questionnaire-based research. So they are your study population. Those people that actually you actually collected data from, they are your study population, and they are more smaller and they are more sometimes they are like more narrower than your target and your actual population. Do you understand? Okay, so that's the different types of population we have. We have the target population, we have the source population, we have the actual population, and then the study population. And I want you to know the difference between each and every one of them. So we have another biostatistical term called sample. What is a sample? A sample is a subset of a population selected for a study. So for you to actually carry out a study, you have to select your sample from a population. Like from the definition we gave on a population, we say that is the entire cells of individuals or object that you want to study on. So the sample is those people that you actually selected for a study. All right. There are those people that actually selected for a study. They are your study population, like those ones that you actually give out questionnaire to answer, or you actually maybe collected the data. They are your sample. So it helps to save time, cost, and effort. Okay. Example, 500 households surveyed in Lagos. They are your sample because they're the ones that you actually collected data from. Then we also have another term, which is parameter. Parameter is a fixed numerical value that describes a characteristic of a population. Okay? So parameter is a numerical value that describes a characteristic of a population. So when you hear parameter, what should come to your mind is population, characteristics of a population. That is a key word here, characteristics of a population. For example, we are talking of proportion of women in maybe National Open University. And another key thing is that parameter is often denoted with symbols like population mean, population standard deviation, population proportion. Just what I said, like whenever you hear parameter, you're talking of characteristics of a population. It can be the mean or the average mean of a particular population or a particular group of people. Okay. Then we also have another statistical term called variable. Variable. Variable is a characteristic of interest about each individual element of a population or sample. And we can have different types of variable. We can have age, we can have weight, we can have blood group, height, a lot of them. So they are called variables. They are characteristics of interest about individual elements of a population. Okay, so when you are doing your experiments, there are some things that you just want to collect from there. It's not everything you want to know about that particular um, participant or that particular sample that you are carrying your study on. There are some things that you just want to know. Maybe you want to know their age, you want to carry out their blood group, you want to know their status, the HIV status. They are your variables. Okay, so they can differ among people. All right. So that is called your variable. Then we have another thing called statistic. Statistic. Notice there is no S. Okay. Statistic. So it's a quantity whose numerical values can be obtained from sample data. It is a value that describes a sample. And we've talked about what is a sample here. So what a statistic is a value that describes a sample. Okay. Example, we have like mean, media, mode. They are called statistic. Okay. So they help to describe a sample and give it a very good meaning. All right. For example, we have the average blood pressure of 200 samples 200 sampled adults in Abuja. That is a statistic. They have to describe a sample. They have to give it that meaningful numerical values. All right. So these different when you get to know about this basic statistical data, when it's being used on a higher level topics, you get to understand them. That's the beauty of it, of knowing the basic statistical terms, so that when you see them at the higher levels or the higher topics, you get to understand them. Then we have another statistical term called census. Census is a nationwide counting of population. I think we've actually heard of census, like maybe when they carry out census in Nigeria, people, the National Population Council, they will come to your house and take different data. It can be the sex, how many people in this household, age, marital status, educational characteristics, economic, a lot of things. They have to take data. It's called the nationwide counting of population. All right, so that we know the actual number of people in a particular country. All right. So there are different characteristics of census. It separates enumeration and recording of the characteristics of each individual. One key thing, one key specific thing about census is that it counts each and every member of a particular of that household at that definite time. Okay, so that's the key characteristic. Then it should refer to people inhabiting a well-defined territory. Yes, because for a census to be called census, it has to be well-defined territory. If you're carrying out a census, let's say um, in Enugu State, it has to be well-defined. Okay, we are counting these people in Enugu State from so, 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 and so time. That's why the third characteristic say the population should be enumerated with respect to a well-defined point in time. This helps to update data and also help to know, okay, when was the last time the census was carried out at this social place? Because a lot of these data and reports are being used in everyday life, all right? So it should also be taken at regular intervals, usually every 10 years, the carry out census. Okay, so this is another statistical term that is normally being used regularly. Okay, so let's look at data and data collection methods. Like I said, if you have any question, just let me know. By the end of the class, you're going to be asking your questions if you have one. Okay, so we are done with the basic statistics thing. Let's look at the data and data collection methods. Like I said, you cannot talk about statistics without talking about data. What is data? Data are raw facts. They are unprocessed information. Okay, the all those numbers you collect, let's say the number of people living in an IDP camp, they are data. Or the number of women that has HIV, the number of women that are pregnant, they are data. They are raw file, they are unprocessed what information. All right. So there are two basic different types of data. We have the numeric data. We also have the non-numeric data. Numeric data are those data that are quantifiable. Quantifiable in the sense they can be given a numerical value. Okay, they can be given a numerical value. Okay, I'm going to be giving you an example. Why non-numerical data? They are those data that are not quantifiable. Okay, they are called qualitative data. They are called qualitative data because they don't have a particular numerical value attached to them. They are called non-numerical data. So when it comes to numerical data, there are two different types of numerical data. We have the discrete data, we have the continuous data. And what are the discrete data? Discrete data are those data that are in form of whole numbers or integers. Okay, we're talking of like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are whole numbers. But when it comes to continuous data, there are those ones that are they have like in a decimal point, maybe we're talking of height. Height, you can have like 160.2 cm, you can have like 55 point something. So they are continuous because they cannot be a whole number. Okay, so they are called continuous data. Then when it comes to numeric data, we also have two different types of numeric data. We have the categorical data. We also have the ordinal data. So these are the different types of data, and then we're going to talk about the data collection methods. Okay. For example, there are two main sources of data collection. There are two main sources of data. We have the primary data. We also have the secondary data. So when you're talking of primary data, they are those data that are collected directly by the researcher. Okay, any data that is collected, maybe for your MSc program, you are told to go and carry out an experiment or a survey. So is you are the primary collector of that data is called a primary data. All right, we have like survey, we have experiment, and a lot of it. But when it comes to secondary data, just like the name secondary, they are obtained from already existing records. So you are not the one that collected them primarily. For example, we have hospital records, we have census data that we collected already. Maybe we just want to make use of the records, okay? So they are called secondary data. But to their hospital or to that person that collected it first, is primary data to them. But to you that you want to go and make use of already existing data is going to be a secondary data to you. Do you understand? So these are the two main sources of data. So what are the methods of data collection? There are a lot of different methods you can use in collecting data. We have by one observation. Okay, by observation method, you just observe a particular study of interest, maybe in a population that you want to study about, you get to observe them or on a particular interest that you have about them. So and you write out what you observe about them. Is data. Okay. We also have face-to-face interviews. We have telephone interviews. So interviews, data collected from interviews are also part of data. Okay, we have experiment like laboratory experiment, can perform experiments and you write down your data, and whatever value you observe from that experiment. Okay, it's part of data collection. We also have questionnaires. Questionnaires are part of data collection. It can be self-administered questionnaire, which can be open or closed-ended questionnaire. Okay, so open-ended questionnaire are those ones that you just ask the person a question. There's no, okay, yes or no, or true or false, or not sure, sure. There's no like a given answer to that particular question. You allow the person to share his or her own thoughts on that particular question. But when it comes to close-ended questionnaire, is the ones that maybe you give option. Okay, is it a yes? Is it true? Is it false? They are called closed-ended questionnaires. Then we also have another method of data collection, which is the documents or record review that's using existing data, like what I explained in secondary data. So these are different um, methods of collecting data, all right? So from here, we are going to be looking at the TMA. Like I said, the section 1 is very short. Like this unit 1 is very short. It's just an introductory part of the statistics. Okay, if time permits us, we're still going to be diving in on different topics of this particular course. So let's look at the TMA that is asked after this unit 1. So they say classify each of the following as an example of non-numeric. This is talking of data now. Non-numeric, district, or continuous variable. I hope you can remember when we explained data and different types of data. We explained that data is of different types. And one thing about this question, I think this question came out in 2024, is either second semester or not. They just listed this this kind of question and tell you to classify it. Do you understand? Like they listed this question. I was trying to check the past question, but I could not find that particular one that this question was on. I always try to link what we discussed to past questions. So I see how questions are being asked. So I know that we're not just here to talk and talk and talk and talk. This is a life, like something that is very, very real. So we say classify each of the following as an example of non-numeric, district, or continuous variable. Okay. So I just wanted to, if you're still following, at this point, I want you to pause and read each of the I. Oh, I think I'm running out of time on this Zoom, but no problem. I think it can be first so I can round up. We have 45 minutes to be on this Zoom. So if you can pause here and answer this question. Okay? Pause here and answer this question so you can cross-check with the answers I have in the next slide. So the hair color of people in a concert show. Is it a non-numeric data? Is it a district data? Or is it a continuous variable? Remember I said district non-numeric data are those ones that are not quantifiable. They are the qualitative data. District data are the whole numbers, while continuous variable are those ones that cannot be whole numbers. They have to be in decimal places. Do you understand? I just want to recap what I said. So the hair color of people in a concert show. Hair color. Remember, is it quantifiable or is it not quantifiable? You're the one that should answer that. I want you to answer that on your own. The number of hours required to heal a patient of a disease. The number of hours. The keyword here is number of hours. Is it discrete or is it continuous variable? The length of time requiring answering a phone call at a business center. Is it discrete or is it continuous variable? I just wanted to note it in your book. It will help you to remember in exam hall. It will help you to answer in case this kind of question comes up. The number of pages per job coming off a computer printer. Sorry, I don't go mistake. I'll mistakenly open the next slide. So the kind of tree is used as Christmas tree, the number of voters in a community, whether a statement is true or false, the number of books in a library. So I just want to answer this question by yourself. I already have the answer already, but I want you to compare your answer and mine and let me know if you're watching this. Maybe I'm going to be posting this on YouTube for other people that were not able to join us live. So you can answer it and then compare your own answer to mine, all right? And tell me how many you get. So let's check. This is the correct answer to the question, but I want you to answer it on your own and and know if you'll be able to attempt it when it comes out in exam hall. All right. So hair color, when you're talking of hair color, is not quantifiable. So it's a non-numeric data when it comes to hair color. All right. So it's a non-numeric data. We can have black color, we can have yellow, so they are not quantified. It's not like you're giving it number one color. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So it's not like a numeric, it doesn't have a numeric value. Then the second question says, let's check out the question. The number of hours required to heal a patient of a disease. To heal a patient is not the hours to heal a disease, a continuous variable, because it can take like 1 hour, 30 minutes. It can take 20 seconds. It can take 1 hour. It can take 20.8 seconds. Like, you understand? So it's a continuous variable because it takes different times for a particular illness to actually heal. So we also have time, the length of time required to answer a phone call at a business center. What you have to do is time is infinitely divisible. So time cannot be, it can be a whole number. It can also be in decimal places. So time and hours, they are continuous variable. Then papers, you're talking of the length of pages per job coming off a computer printer. When you're talking of number of pages per job, you know that it can come one, can be one, two, so it can be a whole number, is a discrete variable. Then the kind of trees used as a Christmas tree, the kind of trees used as Christmas tree, you know that there are different types of trees. They are not quantifiable, so it's a non-numeric variable. Then the number of voters in the community, number of voters can be counted. Okay, they can be either 100, it can be 200. You don't have like 200.5 or 1.5 people, so it's a discrete number. So it's a discrete variable. VI is definitely a discrete variable. Whether a statement is true or false, true or false is a non-quantifiable data, so it's definitely a non-numeric data. Then the number of books in a library. When you are counting the number of books in a library, it's surely a whole number. There's nothing like 5.5 books there. So it's definitely a discrete number. Do you understand how I answer it? Yes, I hope yes. So let's look at another question. So this question is an exam question from 2024 first semester. Let's see what it says. Say, number one, I said, say the difference between target population and source population. We just talked about it. Target population and source population. It carries 5 marks. Then the second question say, how is sample different from a census? How is sample different? These are from the statistical terms we just explained at the beginning of this class. Do you see how they ask questions? All right. How is sample different from a census? Then and it carries 4 marks, that's maybe two marks each if you're able to get the sample and then the census definition or something. Then provide an example of a statistic and a parameter. Provide an example of a statistic and a parameter. I explained what statistic means and also explain what a parameter means. Whenever you hear parameter, you're talking of population value, all right? Then when you hear of statistic, you're talking of sample value. That's when you talk of mean, mode, median. So when you're able to provide an example of a statistic and also a parameter, you get your 5 marks. Then define the concept of variable and provide example of variables in a population or sample. So carries 5 marks. Variable. We talked about variable. Variable is a characteristic of individual in a population or sample that can take on different values. We have types of variable. We have the qualitative variable. We also have the quantitative ones. Like the qualitative ones, just like the data we treated, we have gender, blood group, marital status. For those quantitative ones, those ones that has numerical value, we have age, we have weight, we have height, we have number of children, a lot of them. Okay, so these are just a snippet from an exam question in 2024. So if you read this question, you can go back to what you already studied to check your answer. Okay, state the difference between target population and source population. We treated it. How is sample different from a census? I said what a census is. I said what a sample is. So please, you can just go back and confirm if it has really stick to your head. In case if they repeat question or if they ask something similar in exam, you'll be able to reciprocate or replicate. Okay, so In our next class, we're going to be looking at the unit 2 of the biostatistics, which is clinical trial, epidemiology, study designs, and sampling methods. Okay, so I hope you really enjoyed it. We have like 2 minutes left for this class. Yes, because the Zoom is actually warning us. You have 2 minutes left. So if you have question at this point, you can ask. If you have any question, you can use these 2 minutes to ask your questions. And please, for those that watch this discussion class on YouTube, please just help me to subscribe to the channel, to the YouTube channel, okay? So that you can get updated on every time. So if you have questions, how many people do we have on this class? We have Friday, we have Gloria, Mosho, and Mohammed. Do you guys have any question? Or we can end the class before they log us out. And don't worry, if you not follow from the beginning, I'm going to post the link so you can still rewatch and answer the questions. Be able to answer the questions, okay? All right. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining for today's class. So this is our first class in biostatistics, and I hope you really enjoyed it. So thank you everyone, and I'm going to see you in the next class. All right?
All right. Thank you for your effort.
You're
Just
welcome.
joining the class not long ago.
Okay, don't worry. You're going to have a recap of the class. Don't worry.
All right. We'll follow you through the. All right.
No problem.
Okay. God bless you, ma. Thank you so much.